All right, apparently Adam Schefter is paid by the tweet because a lot has happened news-wise here in the NFL this week. So if it looks like I'm reading off my phone, it's because I'm reading off of my phone just to see everything that he has sent out. Try to make sure that I don't go through like every single one. Right, let's roll. With Austin Eckler out for the season, didn't mention that one before. Going to talk about that in fantasy football tomorrow. But with Austin Eckler out for the season with an Achilles injury, major bummer for him and for me in the Vampire League, but mainly for him. Due to a torn Achilles, the Commanders are signing veteran Chase Edmonds to their practice squad. I would imagine it's the rookies, but Edmonds, there could be something there for him anyway. Also, want to give Deeds a shout out. He gave us the segment idea. Also, now a 19-month subscriber with twitch.tv/primetimepk and with a little bit of a chirp there for Toxic in the chat as well. Love you, Toxic, but I hope Collins drops every ball his way tonight. By the way, hi PK. Hi to Deeds. Forgot to say that before. But yes, always appreciate the subscription, Deeds. Thank you so much for that. And just talking about fantasy football reminded me of that as I need some help in the Vampire League. But I got a shot to do some vampiring this week on a team that has Saquon Barkley. So I would feel very good about that. Tennessee Titans and three-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons have agreed to a revised contract that includes a $600,000 raise for the 2025 season. So a bit of just a tweak there, and probably one I could have just skipped, but Simmons really does feel like a strong part of the defensive front, the strongest part of the defensive front for the Titans, and is the type of player that gives me pause in thinking that this is going to be a disaster season for the Titans, because I think that defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. So nice that he gets rewarded. Adam Schefter also tweeting, Bears Pro Bowl cornerback Jalen Johnson out indefinitely with a groin injury. Sources tell me and Courtney Cronin from ESPN. The team is still evaluating the full extent of the injury, whether surgery is necessary, and how long Johnson will be sidelined. That is a huge loss to a Bears defense that can't really afford to lose a whole lot right now. Anyway, that is a really, really big problem for Chicago. That defense is going to be called upon to step up a lot. And he is such an important part of that defense. For him to be out for an extended period of time, and that feels really bad, this is a problem for Chicago. A really, really big problem for them. Jeremy Fowler, this is a retweet from Schefter. Jeremy Fowler, Ravens Pro Bowl edge rusher Kyle Van Noy is bracing to potentially miss multiple games due to a hamstring injury suffered Sunday per sources. Van Noy led the team in sacks last year, is hoping the injury is short-term. The defense obviously stepped up last week against the Cleveland Browns, but that's the Cleveland Browns. Against a high-level offense like the Buffalo Bills, there were some stretches where the defense looked real good, but Van Noy is such an important part at the center of that defense, and with a matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs coming up in the next few weeks, this is a really tough time to deal with that level of an injury. So a very, very big problem, I think, for the Ravens here, as well as a centerpiece of their defense goes down. And when we talked about the Bengals as a team that could miss the playoffs even though they're going 2-0, they still have the backup quarterback. That's a problem. But this is the type of thing that allows teams to hang around in the division. And specifically now, I guess their main focus probably is the Buffalo Bills. They lose the game against Buffalo, so that sets them back. But that number one seed in the AFC, to be able to control where the road in the AFC playoffs goes through, is going to be really important. And if you just have an extra banana peel that you slip on because your sacks leader from a season ago is out of the lineup for a few weeks, that's how playoff losses happen when you have to go out on the road for a few weeks. Rams placing Ahkello Witherspoon on injured reserve due to a broken clavicle. So that sucks for a pretty fun young defense out with the LA Rams. And now this is an interesting one as well. Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels has a knee injury that has his status for Sunday's game against the Raiders in question per league source. The injury is not believed to be serious, but it remains uncertain whether Daniels will be able to play on Sunday. That obviously is a gigantic game changer for Washington. Everything that they are doing right now revolves around that quarterback, right? Like, if you're the Bengals, you can squint and see Brown, Chase, and Higgins being able to carry a average to below average quarterback in Browning to maybe a couple of wins. This team doesn't do a thing without Jayden Daniels as the leader on the field and off of it. So some very, very big concerns, I would imagine, coming out of Washington, a team that right now is 1-1, kind of just got their lunch money taken by the Packers in week number 2 on Thursday Night Football, setting up for what should have been maybe a bit of an easier test. Well, certainly easier than the Packers, but a bit of an easier test with the Raiders. Now maybe dealing with a backup quarterback. So definitely something to keep an eye on for the week. Schefter saying, again, heading into week number 3, Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels dealing with knee sprain. Justin Fields in concussion protocol. He got knocked out of that game figuratively and literally later on in it. But that is something to keep in mind. This week it would be Tyrod Taylor as the backup there. Brock Purdy dealing with a toe injury, and Joe Burrow needs toe surgery. Also, significant losses for the Carolina Panthers. Retweet of David Newton from ESPN. Panthers guard Robert Hunt has a torn biceps and will go to IR with surgery. Center Austin Corbett has an MCL on his left knee and will also go on IR with the possibility of returning. That is, look, when you have a quarterback who is small, you need the interior of your offensive line to step up. The interior of that offensive line is not stepping up, and now to have it banged up is a real problem for Carolina. I can't imagine they were just keeping the great options in the run or in the offensive line on the sideline to redshirt this year. So an already offensive line gets a couple really big holes in it. That is a huge issue for Carolina moving forward. And now the Vikings problems. About 36 minutes ago, just in, JJ McCarthy, quarterback for the Vikings, has been ruled out for Sunday's game versus the Bengals due to an ankle injury. Also, from Kevin Seifert of ESPN, Vikings running back Aaron Jones is unlikely to play this week against the Bengals, per coach Kevin O'Connell. The precise language on McCarthy, team not expecting him to play this week. So now a Sunday matchup shapes up like Jake Browning of the Bengals against Carson Wentz for the Vikings. So, yes, lots of injuries and lots of issues coming out of week 2 in the NFL. The Washington one, it doesn't seem like it's a very long-term problem right now. The McCarthy one, that's a real blow to a team that is trying to get into a rhythm and get their quarterback some reps and some snaps after missing his entire first season. So this is not going to help that. The good news is that when he comes back, it will be with Addison as a bit of a two-headed monster out there. So maybe he'll be able to hit the ground running. But this was a week you wanted to improve on, right? This was a week you wanted to learn from and try to adapt to, where it didn't click at all against a Falcons defense that was giving them some problems, and they were not able to dominate on the offensive line in the fourth quarter the way they were against Chicago, and there weren't the openings that they thought they could have. And so how does he adjust to that now? Now we're going to get a few weeks to have to answer that question. So a difficult bit of injury news across the league. Just a couple other notes from me on this one. Special teams continues to be a real issue in the NFL. Still seeing, not as many as last week, but still seeing a lot of kicks missed across the league and some big returns in the NFL that I think it's not alarm bells. That's a whole lot of fun. But the other one, holy crap, were there flags all throughout the league last week. And I do think that the refs kind of need to chill on a few of these and let a few go. But these teams, it's not just, oh, the offense hasn't really clicked and anything like that when you don't play in the preseason. But when you don't play in the preseason, all of a sudden, now you forget the rules. Not entirely, but you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, that guy's maybe a little bit sharper. Well, now I have to hold on to him. And now it's kind of taking the easy way out. So we will see if that becomes less of an issue. But it was a real problem throughout the league, I thought, this week. The penalty flags really did. It added to the drama of a lot of these games, but it really made it feel like a sloppy week in the National Football League. So anyway, those are kind of all the thoughts from the NFL.